I mentioned it, and boom, there it is. I said that Mark Cuban was coming through to the Heather B Live show, and I'm so grateful that you are here, Mark
What's up,
Cuban.
y'all? Thanks for
Welcome to
having
the
me.
show.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming through. Obviously, I know you're here to talk about Shark Tank and some of the other things that you're doing, but the funny story is, okay, so Super Bowl was when? February 4th or 2nd? Something like that. So Sway and I and my husband were walking down the street in South Beach. We're just hanging out. It was impossible to get down Collins Avenue because the traffic was crazy. Everybody driving around there, drop-top Bentleys and Lamborghinis and everything like that.
Crazy.
Right. So the idea was like, let's just walk.
Yep.
And we're just walking down South Beach, and we look and we see this guy like running or look like he was working out. And Sway was like, oh shit, that's Mark Cuban.
That was me.
It was you.
Either jogging or walking. It was just like easier to get around, and it was fun people watching, right? So I mean, literally, I have a place at 15th and Ocean in South Beach, and so I'd walk down to First Street. I walked up in the 40s, or jogged and worked out. So yeah, it was beautiful, and it was fun. Most of the days were pretty.
Is that how you get around? Like, you are super comfortable. You were just walking around.
Yeah.
Like, we literally did a double take before we stopped to
I
say,
bet.
yo, what's up, Mark?
I know people were stopping me. It's like, is that you? Is that you? I know how to walk. I'm good at it, right? I've been doing it a long time. So I just chill, right? I don't, it's not like I try to have security or this or that. I just try to live my life like I always have, and just have fun. And it makes it interesting and entertaining, right? Because people are always like, what, and take a picture. And people are always nice. And so why not?
That's so funny because we had the conversation about that a couple of weeks ago. I was talking to everybody in here, and I've been blessed in my own way, just a sense of doing Real World, like the first season of Real World. It had never been done before.
Clay Newbill?
Who's Clay Newbill?
Clay was one of the producers that also worked Shark Tank.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, see, Mark done told me something about Mark, good looking,
Come on,
baby.
Come on.
See, I didn't know because they kind of kept us away. This was supposed to be like a documentary thing where you couldn't break the fourth wall or whatever you call it. So we didn't know a lot of people behind the scenes. And so doing that show, it sort of catapulted me into a certain, but I wasn't ready for it, so to speak. And
it's an adjustment, isn't it?
It was an adjustment. It really was, especially at that time. In 1992, it had never been done. It was different, and been blessed to still be able to be in this industry. So sometimes with the music and everything, and now with radio being visual, people trip when they see me on the bus. They're like, what are you doing on the bus?
Right.
Like, why are you on a New Jersey Transit bus
Why
on the train?
would you be?
That's my answer. And that's why I asked you. I kind of feel comfortable, and it also gives me a sense of people.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to be defined by my bank account, right? I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good friend. I just want to live a life that I enjoy. And if I have to hide myself, that's no fun, right? I mean, if you talk to my friends that I grew up with or from college, they're like, he's the same idiot he's always been. He just pays when he picks up the check.
Now, right.
Yeah.
Wow, we were talking about Kobe before you walked in, and I said, I'm sure Mark knows Kobe or from a different perspective, like from the owner, and maybe it was that Kobe shot. Who passed him the ball? How would you? What was your experience?
I had a good relationship with Kobe, more because of the business side than the basketball side. Because as much as he had the Mamba mentality on the court, and we had some great battles between the Mavs and the Lakers. Yeah, we talk basketball, but we also talk business. And it was crazy. You know how you pick up an old phone and, you're like, oh, I haven't seen this phone. During All-Star break, I took an extra phone and I'm going through the messages, and there's just like this super month-long thread between me and Kobe talking about his retirement and, what he was going to do afterwards and how he was coming onto my turf and I was going to kick his ass in the business world. I'm going to show you the Cuban mentality.
Right.
He was a special dude, in so many ways. He grew up in the limelight, but he adapted. He had his challenges like anybody does, but he matured into a dad. And I think that's what really made him so special. There's lots of great basketball players. There's, lots of people who are famous. but there aren't a lot of people, like we're just talking about, being able to just take the bus, right? Just being able to walk down the street, who can still try to give their family a life of normalcy and just be a dad. And, you know, when we lost them, I think that's what made it so painful. And I think that's what brought people together, because if one of the most powerful, famous, impactful people in the world could be a victim of a tragedy like this and lose his daughter as well, what about the rest of us? You know? And as much of a you know, I always, like my dad raised me, there's always something positive, even in the worst tragedy. And it was the first time that I could think of where a whole country, even the world, came together. People were hugging each other. People that I, you know, were friends but more acquaintances were saying I love you, and I was saying I love you back. You know, just connecting in ways we never had before. And, you know, as much as it's fun to talk about Kobe and how we knew him, I really hope that's his legacy. Amen. You know, that we can still keep on saying I love you to people that we know that we might not have said it to before, and still be willing to just walk up and hug somebody that you're friends with, but, you know, you weren't like that with them before. And if that's his legacy, if that's Gianna's legacy, that's special. That, you know, that's a memory, that's a blessing, and hopefully that's how we remember Kobe and his daughter for generations.
Are you a spiritual guy?
My own way, yeah. I'm not real religious, but yeah, I'm a karma dude. I seriously believe in karma, that what you spread to the world is what you get back. You know, that if you're good to people, that things will find their way back to you. And that's not about money, and that's not about power. That's, you know, like I tell my kids, I have kids 10, 13, and 16. Yeah. If you can look up at a blue sky and smile and know it's a great day, and just, you know, just appreciate the sun beating on your face and that feeling, you're always, you know, whether you're rich or poor, you're going to enjoy your life. I had fun when I was broke. I was living 6 guys, 3-bedroom apartment, sleeping on the floor. I mean, working at night as a bartender and barback. And I was still loving my life. It's a little bit easier to love it now. Yeah. A lot easier, a lot less hassles. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, like when people say, well, what if someone wins the lottery? If you were miserable when you were broke, you're going to be miserable when you're rich. If you had lived a happy life when you were broke, and then you made your way to making some money, you're going to be even happier. And, you know, to me, that's being spiritual. There's a lot of questions I don't know the answer to when it comes to God and religion, and you know, we all won't know until it's too late.
Right?
Yeah. But I do know that if I treat people, you know, with respect and love, that's what I'm gonna get back, and more importantly, that's the example my kids will see.
Is it hard teaching kids that, like, you know, just because I don't have
it's hard
any kids.
Teaching kids anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Try teach. Remember when y'all were 16-year-old girls?
Yeah.
I have 13, 16-year-old girl, 10-year-old son. 16-year-old girls, they're a challenge.
They're a challenge.
But, and put aside who I am or what I have, you know, after their health, my goal for them is I don't want them to be entitled jerks. You know, I want them, you know, I tell my kids, I'm rich, you're not, right? You're going to have, there's things that you want, just like I was raised, if you want something, you get a job and you earn it. That's the way I'm trying to raise my kids, that I'm not the dad that just brings home presents, or if they're mad at me, let me take you someplace, baby, and buy you this.
Right.
No, that's not me at all. Like they have a credit card that I see all the charges on, and I'm the dad that's like, what the hell is this? What the hell is that? You know?
Wow. Wow. Well, that's good. And it's good to know, because sometimes it's hard to balance. Like my husband and I, well, none of us in here have kids, but we have nieces and nephews.
Yeah, of course.
And it's hard. Like you want to reward them. You got great grades, you got this, but you don't know where the line is.
Well, for me, like we play math for money. When my kids were a little bit younger, we played math for money, because I tell my girls, you know, girls who know math and science rule the world, you know. And like if you walk up to my girls and say, you know, who rules the world? Girls who know math and science, right? And so we do, you know, when they were younger, it'd be like, okay, what's 7 times 5 divided by 3? So you'd have to know the order of things, you know, right. Or what's this times that, whatever it may be, it's just a little bit above their, you know, something enough to challenge them. And it wasn't like we were playing for $20. It was to get $1, or if it was really hard, to get $5, you know? And so, but I wanted them to recognize that, you know, there's achievements come at different levels. You know, and you can find a lot of rewards even in the smallest thing. And as a parent, that's the type of rewards I want to give them. You know, rewards that challenge them intellectually, emotionally, whatever it may be. And, and then actually, I mean, and they're sick of it. Like, I'm a hugger. I'm always hugging my kids and telling them I love them. And they get sick of it.
So you never, Mark, like wilded out. I remember, like, I still won't throw away this jacket. It's the worst jacket ever. Like, I should have never bought this jacket, but I remember getting my first big check, and this jacket is now 30 years old.
Exact same thing. Oh my God, right? So I have these, now it's a pair of shorts because I cut them. My friends called them the Born Free pants, right? Because they were made out of curtains that had lions on them. And then originally they were curtains, and then somebody made them into a pair of pants. And I bought them at a thrift shop. I used to buy all my clothes. All my clothes were used, right? Oh yeah,
wow.
And I used to buy fake polos because I'd act cool for $8 until they ripped apart. But I bought this one pair of pants made out of curtains, and there were the curtains there, and there were the pants there. Because you talking about trying to be fun, crazy, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm in my 20s, and I wore them to a Mavs game when I first got to Dallas. And
wow,
Mark is like, how y'all bringing this story out of me right now? We love it, Mark.
Yeah, and so I wore these pants that had lions and tigers and bears on them, and every time I stood up, all my friends would sing "Born Free, Born Free." It was great. So we had a whole. But anyways, yeah, whatever. I'll do whatever.
Yeah, you just got to do whatever. That's amazing, man. Mark Cuban is here hanging out with us. Of course, Shark Tank. You still excited about Shark Tank?
I love the show. Love it. We're moving to Friday nights on ABC's 8 o'clock, so I want to get that out there. But it's really a family-friendly show. It's one of the few shows where you can take a 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 40-year-old, and 80-year-old and all watch the show together. It's a show that sends the message that it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you have. If you have an idea and then you do something with it, it could be anything. But if you do something with it, you can live the American dream. Now, for some people, it's harder than others. We all don't come into this equally. We all don't have the same opportunities. But if you grind through it, anything is possible. And we get to show that on the show every day. People who came from nothing, people who fought their way up and created businesses that may do $100,000 a year or may do $20 million a year. And just kids being able to see that, to me, that's important.
I'm glad he mentioned, you heard my number. He was close to it. Yesterday, we had, a friend of mine, I won't mention her name, this was years ago, we were like coming up in a business, and she said to me, Heather, how much money do you need to make? And I was like,
that's a great question.
About $25 million.
That's a lot of money.
You know what? Damn, if Mark Cuban tells you that's a lot of money, damn, Mark. Well, okay.
That is a lot of money.
It is. It's a lot of money. And she said, really? She's like, I don't need that much money. She's like, that's just a lot of money. What are you going to do? And I was like, well, I have ideas and I have things that I want to do. And $25 million, I would be good with that.
So would everybody on the planet.
I know. Damn, Mark, let me dream, baby.
So when I was coming up, right, I read this book, How to Retire by the Time You're 35. And basically what it said was, if you just need to save enough money to live like a student and not have to work. And so back then, it was, I think, $2 million, because interest rates were higher. So $2 million lets you live off of $25,000 a year, right? And I was ready to just go live like a student, because to me, and my dad taught me this, the most valuable asset you don't own but you want to have is time, right? Yeah. So if I could just live like a student, I didn't care if it was a dump, it didn't matter to me, but then I could just do whatever I wanted. And to me, that was the coolest stuff ever. That's all that mattered, right?
Right.
I could play ball all day if I wanted to. I could just paint. I could just drink beer, whatever it
buy
was,
those pants.
Right, buy my Born Free pants, and just do whatever the hell I wanted.
Right.
And to me, that's just like the dream of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? Because being able to control your own destiny, being able to control your own time, if you can do that, you have everything.
Everything in the world.
Everything.
So I made this statement yesterday. I was reminding everybody here about the conversation that I had years ago with a friend of mine. And so someone called and said, that's a lot of money. And when you get to that point, how do you keep your passion in life? And so I explained what drives me. And
what drives you?
Money doesn't drive me.
No.
Mark, out of everything, I love being home on Sundays. My favorite part of my week, no matter how many cool things I get to do, I love being home on Sundays cooking with my family and friends. that in my sweatpants, my T-shirt, music blasting. A lot of drinks. I mean, come on, Mark.
It's a party, right?
It's a party. Yeah, a lot of drinks. I'm just being honest, Mark.
That's okay.
And the stories. My nieces getting ready for the prom. My brother dealing with this. That's my favorite part. And being able to help if I can.
Yep.
You know, that's the best part. That's what drives me.
Yep.
You know. So I ask you. You know,
what drives me?
What drives you?
I'm competitive, right?
Wow.
To me, business is the ultimate sport, and when I start a business, you're competing against somebody, you're competing against a lot of people you don't even know. And my drive is just to kick their ass. That's what I told Kobe when we were texting back and forth. I'm like, you come on my turf now, I'm going to kick your ass. You know?
You don't even care who it is.
I don't care who it is. I'm Warren Buffett, Kobe. I don't care. I've said it to them all, right? It's just, let's go. Right, because I know, I used to always be the youngest one who did this, youngest. Now I'm like one of the older ones doing this. But I'm like, okay, you're 12, 18, 24, bring it. I'm going to kick your ass no matter what the business is because I'll outwork you. I'll out-hustle you.
So who's your mentor? Like we know Kobe looked up to Michael. Who did you look up to?
I didn't really look up to anybody. Like my parents, never went to college. My dad would look at me and go, what the hell are you doing? I have no idea. So I had to teach myself everything. I didn't really I had people who helped me, but there was nobody I really turned to all the time. And so, I would read. When I couldn't afford to buy books, I would just go into the bookstore and sit there and read the books, just whatever would give me an edge. And that's how I've always done anything. And that's kind of the way I learned to do it. And that's what works for me now. So now, whatever it is, if you pick an industry, I don't care what it is, I'm just going to read everything. I'm going to go online. I'm going to find books. I'm going to read everything that there is to learn. And then I'm going to kick your ass.
If there were one book that you could recommend that somebody reads, what would that book be?
My book, How to Win at the Sport of Business.
There you go.
And I'll tell you, all this stuff we just talked about, you can buy it as a download for $5, right? So I made it so anybody could buy it, because that's what I want. I just wanted, and we've sold hundreds of thousands of copies, maybe up to 1 million now, because I wanted everybody. And it's the story of what how I thought about things, these same type of conversations we've had, how I got motivated, how I define success, and just things that everybody goes, because everybody's got that idea, right? Mm-hmm. You guys are here because you had an idea of what you wanted to be, and the hard part isn't having the idea, because we all have at least one. Mm-hmm. The hard part is after you go through that process saying, going to your friends and family, what do you think, right? Then going online, what do you think? And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, what do I do now? And so really it's a book where I try to push people to say, okay, take that step and go out and start that business.
And it still applies to this day.
To this very minute.
Mark Cuban is here hanging out. Look, I told you guys, smart questions only. Y'all not going to play us out here, Heather B. Live. I don't want Mark Cuban walking away like, damn, they were dumb as shit. Like, don't do that.
No, I want to hear those. Those are more entertaining. Bring it.
866-801-TALK. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more Heather B. Live up next. Cream. Cash rules everything around me. Mark Cuban here. Nothing but Billy talk we having right now, everybody. Billy talk. Hanging out and, of course, talking about Shark Tank. Mark is still passionate about Shark Tank, which is dope to hear. Mark is still passionate about the things that he's doing. And what I love the most to me, because I was a daddy's girl, I always talk about that before I lost my parents, just this close relationship with my dad. And I always remembered, like, before I got married, I wanted to find a man who would not just be a great husband, but a great dad. Right. And so I love hearing men, no matter what they're doing, it's like, yo, my kids are important. Like, that's first.
I love being a girl dad, man.
Yeah, man. It's I got that from you.
Not all the time, but most of the time.
Most of the time. That's really good. So we're going to open up the phone lines, 866-801-TALK, if you want to holler at Mark Cuban. First, T-Mac, you had a question.
Yeah, I love the way you love basketball.
Yeah.
So my question is, were the Dallas Mavericks, was that a business deal, or was it to be closer to the game you love?
Yeah, because I've been a basketball junkie my entire life.
Okay.
And so one year I was a season ticket holder, and it was opening night, 99-2000 season, which I can't believe how long it's been, and it wasn't a sellout. I'm like, it's opening night. We're undefeated, right? Everybody should be in a good mood. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I can do better than this. And I just sold the company, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I can put my money where my mouth is. And so the guy who owned it was a guy named Ross Perot Jr. That Ross Perot's son, right?
Right.
He didn't care about basketball. It was real estate to him. And so I made him an offer, and the deal was done in like 3 weeks. And I was like, hello. And let me just tell you, we won a championship once, and, we've had a lot of success. But the best part, other than winning the championship, every day before a game, a home game, I'm out on the court getting up jumpers. And
so
that's just the best thing ever. I get to get out there and shoot and just and just play basketball.
Great story. We got Clark on the line from Maryland. What up, Clark?
Hey,
Say
Clark.
what up to Mark.
How you doing, Mark Cuban?
What up, Clark?
Okay, I wanted to ask you a question a little different from sports.
Okay.
I was wondering if you still had the 55 that you got from Richard.
No, so I did a show so I bought that car for charity. I'm not a car guy, so I got this car for charity, and then we sold it and donated the money, I think, to the Mavericks Foundation. So it was a badass car, but no, I don't have it anymore.
So what do you drive? What kind of car do you have?
I have a Tesla and a 2-year-old Tesla and like a 8-year-old Lexus.
Wow. See, that's good to know. My hoopty, I'm loyal to you, baby. I got Gerard on the line in Chicago. What up, Gerard?
Hey, Gerard.
Hey, what's up, Heather B., Tramel, MC, and Mark Cuban? Hey, I'm blessed, humbled, honored, and highly favored to be talking to all of you.
Cool.
Let me ask this. I love you, Mark, for all the work you're doing on Shark Tank and just your business acumen, your tech savvy. Love all of that, man. Question for you. What CRM should a small business use for selling 1 or 2 products, or should you just get on the phone and start calling leads?
All the above. Any way you can connect to a customer, you find your way to connect. I mean, if you got to go door to door, if you got to just pick up the phone and cold call, and if you just find their emails and send them an email. But the thing you got to be most aware of is that first 30 seconds on the call, that first 2 paragraphs on an email, you've got to make your point and understand. You always got to put yourself in the customer's shoes. And so understand what value you're going to provide to that customer. Because if you can't get it across right away, they're going to walk away.
Speaking of shoes, we got Shaka on the line from L.A. Hey, Shaka, jump in there.
What up, Shaka?
Hey, Heather. Hi, Mark. So I got a quick question. I have a shoe that I designed, and before I get the prototype made, should I get the idea patent first,
No.
or is it okay to get the prototype made?
Go get the prototype. Then once you have the prototype, see if you can sell it. See if people will write you a check. Because if they're not going to write you a check, the patent would have been a waste of money. If all of a sudden people are writing you the check and say, you know what, go have it made. Here's my check. I'll wait for it, and you still can cash my check. Then you know you've got something worth patenting.
All right, Shaka, thank you for your call. I got Charles on the line, North Carolina. Good question so far. Charles, don't blow it.
Come on, Charles.
Come on, Charles. Bring it home.
Yeah, no pressure. Just millions. First and foremost, to my battle buddy Tramel, it's me. I used to talk to you on Godfrey all the time. It's really
Yes,
good
hi,
to
Charles.
see you on with Heather B.
Hi.
Heather B, you have such a powerful platform. Thank you for all of what you do.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you
sir.
touch my soul in a way that I'd have to get offline with you and share it. I don't want to waste time. Mr. Cuban, really,
It's Mark.
appreciate Mark, thank you very much. Wanted to take the opportunity to pick an owner's brain. I have a question about contracts, and it's kind of 2 parts.
Okay, quickie.
I know a lot of people are talking about Giannis this summer, and like if he does or does not sign back with the Bucks, that the max contract will either live to what it was to keep those players by giving them the money that they should have and stay. And I wanted to see your opinion on that. From an owner's standpoint, what do you think about how players have really taken their agency?
I'm fine with it. You know what? They earned it. They put their life on the line. There's only 450 of them that even get the chance to have that conversation. So I don't even like to call myself an owner, as the proprietor of the Dallas Mavericks, it's my job to make all my employees happy, and in particular my best employees, Luka and KP, it's my job to put them in a position where they feel like they don't want to go no matter what. So I have no problem with players using their agency to say, you know what, I need to make a choice. You need to convince me why I should stay. That's the way business always is.
All right, Mike, real quick, because Mark has to go. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how are you?
What's up, Mike?
It's an honor. You're like an incredible entrepreneur, and it's great to talk to you.
Thanks.
The one question I have, I'm in the heavy construction business, and right now we're starting to have a supply chain problem getting parts from China.
Right.
And do you think this could really destroy our economy in the next couple months if this virus keeps up?
I don't think it's going to destroy the economy, but I think it'll disrupt it. So, he's talking about the coronavirus.
Yeah.
The problem with the virus is when people get it, they don't get super sick, right? And so it's almost like catching a worse cold or getting the flu, right? If you're older and already sick, then it could be really dangerous and you can die from it. But the challenge is because when people initially catch it, they don't really, you don't really know you have it, or you just think, oh, I have a scratchy throat.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden other people catch it. Yeah, I just got back from China last night. Just kidding. So in terms of the overall economy, I think it'll get disrupted in terms of slowing down as people try to figure it out. But then I think the good news is it's going to be like the flu. The bad news is it's going to be like the flu because a lot of people die from the flu.
Yeah.
But we'll learn to adjust. So I think when it's all said and done for your supply chain, it's going to get better over the next year, but there's going to be some disruptions along the way.
Thank you so much, Mike, for your call. Mark has to go.
That's some really hardcore business questions you got me on.
Yeah, they
here.
were good. I was like, look, y'all can't play us out in front of Mark
No,
Cuban,
those are
damn
great
it.
questions.
You can't walk away from this show like they were dumb as hell. Like, no, not going to happen. But Shark Tank, make sure y'all check it out.
Friday nights on ABC. Moving to Friday night from Sunday night starting this Friday.
This Friday. You on social?
Yeah, M Cuban everywhere. You can get me on TikTok, M Cuban. You can get me on Snapchat. You want to see me do my what is it called? Oh,
Renegade.
Shit. Renegade. Yeah, my Renegade. Renegade.
Oh, Renegade. Y'all don't get it, Mark.
No, don't put that down.
Yo, man,
yeah,
Mark.
and Instagram and Twitter, M Cuban.
Dope, man. Come by anytime.
Anytime. Have me again, Heather.
Thank
you guys,
you.
T-Mac, great. You guys were awesome.
You
Thank
are
you
too.
so much, man. Mark Cuban, y'all
Thanks,
make sure y'all
guys.
follow him.